Welcome back. It's great to have you with us on The Full View. After many delays, the State Capture Commission's final report is to be handed over to President Cyril Ramaphosa tonight. It is expected to include findings related to the SABC, the State Security Agency and the Gupta's Waterkloof landing. The Passenger Rail Agency of South Africa, Prasa, also set to feature in the fifth and final report. One of the most infamous tenders, of course, by Prasa resulted in the procurement of those two toll trains. Well, somebody who's been following the ups and downs, the stops and the starts at Prasa is investigative journalist at the Sunday Times, Thanduxolo Jika. Thanduxolo, great to have you with us as always. Remind us of some of the damning testimony at the Zondo Commission relating to Prasa.
Good evening, Francis, and to your viewers. What we're actually expecting, dates way back to the modernization program of Prasa, between 2000 and 2005 until 2014, where government put in a lot of money. I think the budget for Prasa increased from 800 million to about 5 billion in that period. And of course, the World Cup was coming through. So there was quite a lot of allegations of a corruption frenzy that actually took place during that period, which included, the toll trains that you're referring to, the 3.8 billion Swifambo contract, where a lot of monies were paid, and about 13 trains were delivered to South Africa, and they were too tall to fit into our network. So there was more evidence at the Zondo Commission relating to that, and that has been referred to law enforcement already. It's been years since Advocate Tulima Donsela's report derailed on Prasa, and nothing has happened. So we heard that evidence again in the Zondo Commission, the implication, the accusations against former Prasa boss, Lucky Montana, his alleged involvement in those kind of contracts, the billion-rand contracts, Swifambo deal, the Siangena deal, and many other politically connected people, including the former Deputy Finance Minister to Malusi Gigaba, Sfiso Buthelezi, who was the former chairperson of Prasa between around 2014. So there's a lot that we're expecting to hear from the Commission, and also post Lucky Montana, what happened there, because it seems as if the looting frenzy still continued. There was a lot that was being discovered. A lot has not also been recovered.
Yeah. To some people, it felt like it was Lucky Montana who at one stage was saying the trains actually weren't too tall. There was no problem against Popo Malefe, the later chairman. So a lot of claims and counterclaims between those two men for the Zondo Commission to sort out.
It was quite an interesting take from Lucky Montana, but when you look at facts presented before the Commission, first of all, Lucky Montana had tried to convince the rest of South Africa that Daniel Mtimkulu was a qualified engineer and was actually involved in that project of the toll trains. He had been to Spain, where he was involved in the designs of the trains. And it has been proven the guy has been found guilty of fraud. He was not a qualified engineer. He was actually a fake engineer. So, and a lot of money actually disappeared under Lucky Montana's watch. Tulima Donsela herself found that there was a lot of maladministration during his time, and there was a lot of corruption under his watch. But Lucky Montana has always stood up and claimed his innocence, that he did nothing wrong at Prasa. But there's a lot of money that actually went missing, and money actually in those toll trains, for example, evidence presented to the Commission, Swifambo, A lot of money went to politically connected people. Like I said, some even went to the Jacob Zuma Foundation and other people. And it is understandable why he then, would also be angry at the former chairperson, Popo Molefe. Popo Molefe fired him, instituted forensic investigations, and worked with the National Treasury, which actually found wrongdoing, and they tried to recover state money that for those passenger trains, the Siangena deal as well, which was overturned by the Pretoria High Court, and it's still ongoing up until today. And then you also find the new Prasa board trying somehow to have some talks with Siangena, which is demanding that it's owed money by Prasa, about 2-point-something billion. So it was understandable the accusations and counter accusations by Lucky Montana against Popo Molefe.
So remind us how Popo Molefe fared, because he had to talk about the money spent on his bodyguards, claims about his own foundation. Do you think this is a threat to him or not, the release of this final report?
As far as having watched the evidence at the commission, Popo Molefe came out as a person who justifiably said my life was under threat, and we could not rely on the security that was being provided by Prasa. Understandably so, because there was some kind of affection within Prasa, a machine that had been entrenched by the previous administration before Molefe was there. So there might be actually a reasonable explanation for having those kind of bodyguards. And also, the allegations about monies being paid to his foundation. I don't know, and I've not seen any kind of evidence that was brought forward by Lucky Montana to say, here's the proof, Chairperson Chief Justice Zondo, that the foundation was paid. So a lot of those accusations depend on what was given to the commission. I've gone through most of the evidence relating to Prasa submitted to the commission, but out of everything that Mr. Lucky Montana has alleged, he hasn't provided any kind of proof except against the affidavit that he made that monies went to the ANC.
All right, Thanduxolo, we are waiting for that final handover. We'll take you live as soon as that happens. In the meantime, Swifambo that you mentioned regarding the 2 tall trains, they had no previous trading experience. So this has put tendering in the spotlight. Then we had people on the board, ANC deployees, that has put cadre deployment in the spotlight. Is Prasa part of the reason why we say, in a sense, that the ANC has been on trial?
Absolutely. Prasa is actually a perfect example in the many other state-owned entities where you see the hand of the ruling party. Oswald Mashaba, in his from Swifambo, in his initial affidavit that he had submitted to the Zondo Commission, he admitted that he had paid about 80 million rand to people who claimed to be taking it for the ANC. And that he paid that money for the benefit of the ANC, and also a number of forensic reports and also payments show that there was money that moved from Prasa to Lutuli House. Yes, indeed. Here, what we call cadre deployment. And that ANC has collapsed state-owned entities through its deployees. Prasa is a perfect example. there were a lot of donations that were actually made to the ANC via people who got contracts at Prasa. So it was not for the benefit of the taxpayers or the citizens of this country, but for the ANC itself. And some of these things, they might look like they are not connected. Ever since some of these contracts have been cancelled and things changed a little bit, ANC all of a sudden is struggling to pay its salaries, meaning that, one can suppose that money was coming from the state for the benefit of the ANC to the House.
Thanduxolo, thank you. That was a great wrap-up of the evidence that will now lead to findings in the final report of the Zondo Commission. But like we've heard, those claims have been around for several years. Has it led to any action or any prosecution? That remains to be seen. That was Thanduxolo Jika, investigative journalist at the Sunday Times.